Hello there and welcome to Look North. On the programme tonight, hoping and praying for good news, relatives of those caught up in the Jamaican hurricane face an anxious wait, while one Yorkshireman tells us what he saw.
As the hurricane was passing through last night, it was really scary and pretty intimidating, just the sheer power of the wind and the rain.
Also tonight, the online fraudsters using romance to con Yorkshire's lonely hearts out of thousands of pounds. How a simple test could help early detection of a deadly disease, and
with only 2 days to go until All Hallows Eve, join us in Woowell near Barnsley, where I'm meeting a paranormal investigator.
We'll have some nice autumn sunshine to come tomorrow, but there is some rain on the way. Join me for the very latest forecast.
hello there, good evening. It is an anxious wait for families who have loved ones living or holidaying in Jamaica. As you may have been hearing, much of the island is without power or a phone service after the strongest ever hurricane to hit there. And there are reports of mudslides, roofs being ripped from buildings and palm trees tossed like toothpicks. Now, the current hurricane has moved on, but relatives here in Yorkshire, well, for them, the worry shows little sign of ending.
A terrifying reality, half a world away. And here, an anxious wait for news of friends and family caught in the path of Melissa.
It's pretty calm, is that, isn't it?
After the storm.
Calm after the storm.
I have brothers and family members in Jamaica who people have been battening up and trying their best to keep safe. And family members have been telling me that they're, praying.
Nigel and Charles are both from Bradford. They've known each other since they were young boys, and they work together on a Windrush Generations project.
Here in Bradford, we kind of have a population of about 2,500, 2,600 thereabout people of Caribbean descent.
He too has family out in Jamaica.
I've obviously tried to get in touch with them myself, but there is no communication. Even though, it is pretty early in the day for them, we're still unable to get any communication. Certainly tried to look at, street cameras and things like that, but we really haven't got any really clear indication of anything from them.
Yvonne Williams from Leeds is someone else keeping busy while they wait for news. She's made a lot of phone calls to her sister, but hasn't got through yet.
She did actually say that not to worry because she'll call me, but I was worrying because I just needed to know how things were and whether she was okay. But like I said, from now I can't get any contact with her.
Yesterday on Look North, we spoke to Alex, who's in Jamaica with his family staying in a hotel. Today, he sent us some new pictures of the damage that has been caused by the hurricane.
As the hurricane was passing through last night, it was really scary and pretty intimidating, just the sheer power of the wind and the rain. At the height of the hurricane, there was just so much water coming down, there was rain going sideways, the winds were so powerful.
Back to Bradford, because late this afternoon we heard from Nigel's brother, who's a former Minister of Transport and Housing in Jamaica.
In the hillsides of the country, there has been land slippages, roads have been blown off, and in the plains, especially in the southern side of the country, we hear of houses that have been inundated with water. There have been significant flooding.
It may be days before the extent of the physical damage and anything worse is actually known. For the people here in the UK, the calm after the storm is anything but. Tom Ingle, BBC Look North.
Next tonight, it's a story that we hear time and time again, romance fraud, where people looking for love are tricked into giving away their life savings. Well, sadly, it's on the up. One woman from Harrogate lost almost £90,000 after starting an online romance. Kirsty, a single mother of 4, thought she'd found her dream man, but it turned into a nightmare. She's been telling our reporter Michelle Lyons what happened.
Kirsty was recently divorced when she fell prey to romance fraud. She'd been reluctant to sign up to dating apps, but with some gentle persuasion from friends and family, she thought she'd give it a go. She started online dating in June 2023, and within a week she'd met a kind and caring man. Or so she thought.
He told me that he was from Leeds, he did work in London, he was half Cypriot and Yorkshire. We discussed places in Leeds that I knew, restaurants, bars, places that I'd visited in the area. He knew all of that. Yeah, we got on, we built a rapport, we built a friendship, and then it turned into a romantic relationship, I guess.
Over the next few weeks, the couple shared photographs of each other and spoke often on the phone, but they never met in person. Then, after telling Kirsty he had to go to Istanbul for business, he rings her with some bad news.
I'm in bed and I get a phone call, and he said that he'd been in this accident, he'd been mugged, and he'd been taken to the local hospital, and he was in a bad way. And when he got off the phone, then he sent me through a picture of him in the hospital, or who I thought he was.
But the photo wasn't of him. In fact, none of the photos he'd sent Kirsty were his. He'd stolen them from someone else's Instagram account. The next time Kirsty heard from him, he asked her to log into his bank account and complete an important business deal. And after a sleepless night, she agreed.
It looked like a fully functioning bank to me. There'd been money going in, money going out, money pending, large amounts of money. And that's how it started, him letting me in to his bank account.
He praised Kirsty for her actions, and a few days later asked her to log into his account again to pay his hospital bills. But this time things didn't go so smoothly.
He said the account is blocked, changing IP address. And when I told him this, obviously, he was very upset, and he blamed me for locking him out of his account, and he asked me for the hospital fee of $6,250. And that's how it started.
The requests for money kept on coming, all with the promise he'd pay her back. In total, Kirsty gave away £90,000 before she realised what was happening. It was her sister who eventually found the original photos on Instagram.
And my heart just burst, and I just threw the phone down and broke. My heart broke. My world broke. It was lost. Everything was lost. I'd admitted defeat.
Kirsty wasn't able to get her money back. Laws have since been changed to refund victims of fraud up to £85,000. But for Kirsty, it was an expensive lesson to learn.
I was in a very dark place at that moment in time. And the phone rang. It was him. And he said to me, "I'm so sorry that I've hurt you. I love you, but I've been in an accident." And I threw the phone at the wall. And that's when I started to realise that I had to report this as a crime.
Kirsty ending that report there by Michelle Lyons. Gosh, it's quite a story that, isn't it? So we're going to hear now from Rachel Graham, a financial abuse safeguarding officer for North Yorkshire Police. I asked her how common romance fraud, like we saw there with Kirsty, is.
Well, romance fraud is very common. It accounts for 94.7 million, and that's a loss that was reported to Action Fraud in 2024 alone. So it's a lot of people. For example, North Yorkshire, we had 84 romance fraud victims over the same time frame, and North Yorkshire victims alone lost 1.1 million.
And as we've heard from Kirsty's story, you know, you think you're aware of these scams, but they are so convincing, aren't they?
This is organised criminals perfecting basically the ultimate scam to get massive amounts of money from people. They got the sophistication level used in this victim's case was phenomenal, really. Just the web of lies that this person portrayed to her to convince her to part with, obviously, her savings.
Right, Rachel, your role is Financial Abuse Safeguarding Officer. I've never heard of that before. Just tell us what your role is and how you help victims.
And my main role is to be there to support the victim, not emotionally, although that does happen. It's to help them try and understand the system, So if you're at a loss to a romance fraud, you might not know that some banks will reimburse. So it's helping them write letter of complaints. It's helping them submit those letters to the financial institutions in the hope for reimbursement.
Just very briefly, Rachel, anyone who's watching this, what advice do you have for them to avoid this sort of scam?
Well, over 45% of romance fraud victims are actually drawn in by dating applications, and there's certain things you can do to protect yourself. So don't be tempted to come off the dating site straight away. Stay within the boundaries of that, because there are things that dating sites do to protect you. If someone sent you an image, you can reverse image that photograph. If somebody's love bombing you, if somebody's telling you they love you straight away, question that, you know, in the time frames that you've been speaking to them. And obviously never, ever give money to somebody who you've never met. I think that's the biggie.
Some really good advice there. Rachel, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, if someone you know has been affected by the issues that have been raised there, you can contact the BBC Action Line via bbc.co.uk/action line for details of organisations which can offer you advice and support. Next tonight, a man has been jailed after making a bomb hoax call to a Leeds synagogue just 1 week after a fatal terrorist attack at a synagogue in Manchester. Michael Ebel made the call to the Sinai Synagogue in Roundhay on Monday the 6th of October. He pleaded guilty at a court hearing earlier this month to making a bomb hoax call and was remanded in custody. Today he was sentenced to 10 months in prison at Leeds Crown Court. A horse has died after being attacked by 2 dogs in a field in Batley. West Yorkshire Police said the horse and a pony were both attacked, and the horse later had to be put to sleep by a vet due to its injuries. The dogs were seized by police, and a 33-year-old man is under arrest on suspicion of having animals dangerously out of control. There are reports that the Yorkshire and England cricket legend Sir Geoffrey Boycott has been suspended as a member of Scarborough Cricket Club. It's alleged that Boycott has been accused of gross misconduct involving the sharing of confidential information to a fellow club member. Neither the club nor Mr Boycott have been available for comment. Opposing fans at Bradford City's game against Lincoln City last night shared a moving commemoration. After 56 minutes of play, supporters from both teams stood to applaud in memory of the 56 victims of the Valley Parade Stadium fire at the same fixture 40 years ago. The match itself ended in a stalemate thanks to the efforts of both goalkeepers, who made vital saves at either end. Bradford City remain in second position in the League One table. Meanwhile, the new positive mood at Sheffield Wednesday continues as administrators go about their business of finding a new buyer for the club. This morning, hundreds of Wednesday fans took advantage of a rare public training session held by the first team, with the gates thrown open to fans to coincide with school half-term in the city. Manager Henrik Pedersen and his players are now preparing for Saturday's trip to West Brom and the Owls' next home match, which is on bonfire night against Norwich. And next night, a former nurse from York who survived one of the deadliest forms of cancer has welcomed a trial to detect the disease early. A breath test for pancreatic cancer developed by scientists has been described by charity Pancreatic UK as the most significant step towards a life-saving breakthrough in 50 years. Heidi Tomlinson can tell us more.
Enjoying the familiar and methodical process of baking scones, Suzanne Ford relishes every simple pleasure and every new day. She considers herself lucky to have recovered from pancreatic cancer.
I remember sitting in the hospital bed. The surgeon brought his team around the bed and he was talking in medical terms to his colleagues. It was only after he put his hand on my knee and said, "I'm really sorry, but we think you have pancreatic cancer," that I suddenly thought, he means me, you know. So I was quite devastated, really.
You know, the diagnosis was very difficult to accept, and you know, lots of sleepless nights.
As a retired theatre nurse at York District Hospital, Suzanne's medical knowledge helped when symptoms emerged. She knew early diagnosis would be key. 80% of people with pancreatic cancer find out too late.
I developed some tummy pain, some indigestion. That was later followed, perhaps a couple of days later, by changes to my poo. And the symptoms probably got slightly worse as the days went on.
As symptoms can be misinterpreted or ignored, there's now a breath test being trialled to detect the disease before blood tests and scans. Pancreatic Cancer UK has high hopes for the trial.
Initial results from the breath test study is really promising. So it showed that the test is able to accurately identify people with pancreatic cancer. And what's really important as well is that it can identify people from the early stages. We're really excited. You know, we believe it could be absolutely transformational for the early detection of pancreatic cancer and could really impact survival for patients.
I remember going into surgery and I'd been up all night writing letters to you all to say bye-bye in case I didn't make it.
Surgery for Suzanne was curative because she was diagnosed early, which is why a simple breath test would be beneficial.
I think if it's proven to be successful, the new breath test will offer people, many more people, the chance to have that life-saving surgery.
Suzanne feels grateful to be alive and has vowed to make the most of every day. That freshly baked smell fills the kitchen just before her granddaughters arrive, a retirement to savour. Heidi Tomlinson, BBC Look North, York.
Gosh, absolutely a game changer that could be, couldn't it? You are watching Wednesday's Look North, still to come on tonight's programme. Fancy a gander? If you do, you're out of luck in one North Yorkshire village. Let me tell you now about William Hickey, a freelance photographer who has gained a winning reputation for work like this, capturing wildlife at Chatsworth House in the Peak District. Just stunning, aren't they, these images? The quality of them has meant that he's featured recently in BBC's Country File programme, and what you'd never guess is that William was born with an eye problem that still persists. We spoke to William earlier, but first a glimpse of how he gets these stunning images.
There are a few stags walking around. They could rut, potentially. I'm going to try and follow them. But it's like wild goose chase. I've had to move around to the side a little bit. Because there's two. There's two stags bellowing at each other. And I was kind of in the middle of them. And I definitely don't want to be there.
Gosh, no, you definitely don't want to be caught between that. Will, really good to see you. Great to see how it all works behind the scenes doing what you do. What was it like being on Country File and having the TV crews following you?
Well, having the TV crew following me was actually quite difficult because every time we approached the stags, or just the days in general, they'd run off because there were so many people there and there was lights and everything. So eventually that's why I had to go off on my own. It is such a incredible programme, Country File, isn't it? It's got such a great following, been around for a long time. What was it like for you to be part of that? I don't think it settled in, to be honest. It was more nerve-wracking watching it back than the filming. I didn't mind doing the filming because I'm just behind the camera and I'm used to being, like I was pretending that the camera weren't on me and I was just going around taking my pictures as I normally would. But then watching it back, especially because I was on right at the end, I didn't even know if they'd cut me out or not at first. Yeah, well, you're definitely in it, and we see you trying to set up the perfect shot. What is it you look for when you're photographing wildlife? Well, when I'm photographing wildlife specifically, obviously you need the animal, but like the technicalities of the camera, you need to be fast enough so it's not blurry. Sometimes you just kind of have to deal with what you've got. You just have to be patient, and then eventually you'll get the shot. And you have got the shot. You've captured some absolutely stunning images, and people might be surprised to hear that you are visually impaired in one eye, aren't you? So tell us about that and how that works with your job. So I've got a lazy eye. In my left eye, it's the easiest way to explain it is it's really out of focus, the same way how your camera would be out of focus. And that's because when I was a kid I was supposed to wear my eye patches, and when I put the patches on I couldn't see, so I just ripped them off all the time. My right eye is perfectly fine as far as I'm aware. So every day when I'm on the shoot, it doesn't really make any difference because it's just, I mean, it's all I know and it's what I've lived with. But the colour blindness can sometimes be a little bit tricky if I'm editing, but there's some great tools out there that can help with that.
and you're seeing the world as you see it around you, and you're capturing something beautiful. Tell us, what is it you love about photography? Because you mentioned having to be really patient.
Well, photography is kind of a byproduct of just loving being outside and hiking all the time. So to be able to take my camera with me and then capture that and then be able to bring it home or post it online and show people, yeah, that's amazing.
Thank you so much for coming in, and well done getting on Country Farm. Talking of capturing a good image, look at these cute pooches, aren't they lovely? Looking for a new home and a new human to love them. Will posing for pictures with pumpkins work its magic for the current residents at Leeds Dogs Trust? Who knows? But of course it is the time of year for large vegetables, magic, mystery and all things spooky. Here is something that may terrify you. We have sent Beth Parsons to meet a paranormal investigator, and already I'm terrified seeing those pictures on the wall. Oh, we're so sorry. Obviously some paranormal activity there, playing havoc with the sound. Can we get to Beth Parsons? Is she there? Can you hear me through paranormal activity, Beth? She can't. But we did do a little recording earlier, so here is what Beth found out.
Yeah, so dogs and pumpkins might be the light side of Halloween. This could arguably be the slightly darker side of Halloween we're talking about tonight. I'm at a location in Wombwell, not far from Barnsley, that's been described as possibly the most haunted location in South Yorkshire. Now, you might normally think haunted house, Wuthering Heights style on the top of the hill in the middle of the countryside, but no, we are above a charity shop on the high street of Wombwell, and you can see some of the wonderful treasures around us. They are owned by this lovely lady, Lindsay, who is a paranormal investigator. Now, the viewers are going to get to see some of the treasures on their screen that are all around this place. But what makes you think it's haunted?
I know this place is haunted, 100%. I've actually seen spirit here, heard spirit here, footsteps upstairs and lots of things like that.
And you run what you'd call a paranormal investigation. You do it all over the world. This place isn't open to the public, but sometimes you do stuff here. How often do people get pretty spooked out when they come here?
Well, we hire it out to other paranormal teams, and more or less everybody that comes witnesses something. Something does happen.
Okay. Mm-hmm. We're going to have a little look. Some of these items down here are what you would use on what you'd call a paranormal investigation. One of the items is a music box. Now, we'll leave that to warm up. That shouldn't go off unless I go near it, unless there are spirits. Oh. So was it a spirit? Was it the cameraman Ed? Who knows? How often do you have a skeptic come to you and have their mind changed?
There's been quite a few come here without me even being here, just investigating the house, and we've got a book where people will write, and quite a few have said, I came a non-believer and I'm leaving it a believer, so yeah.
Okay, well, Lindsay, have a brilliant Halloween. I know you do this every single night of the year. It's not just for the 31st of October, but shall we leave on some nice music box music?
There's no way you would get me in that house. That completely freaks me out, that kind of stuff. All right, let's keep with mysteries on a slightly more lighter note. The disappearance of our two winged friends from a pond in North Yorkshire. It's certainly ruffled a few feathers. At the centre of this mystery is a pair of geese who've lived happily in Stillington's pond for some time now, and the parish council want them evicted. Dan Bater takes up the story.
These two geese have been removed from their pond by a local council, and their location is currently unknown. But why? The feathery pair have been at the centre of a passionate debate between a group of local residents and Stillington Parish Council. They had lived on the pond for more than 2 years, but their location next to a main road worried councillors. In an eviction letter, they said the birds were a safety concern and had to be rehomed. Locals responded with a petition that had 2,000 signatures calling for the geese to remain. The council rejected this and an attempt by the residents to acquire shared ownership of the birds before removing them last week. The owners of the geese say they're distraught.
It's just unbelievable. Everybody's fuming, everybody's upset. It's just getting worse rather than better.
When contacted for comment, Stillington Parish Council referred the BBC to the letter sent to the residents addressing the removal of the geese, where they said the birds were moved to a safer environment. But as for where this safe place could be, the residents have no further details. Dan Bater, BBC Look North, Stillington.
We'll keep you posted on what happened there. I'm still reeling from that ghost story. Do you believe in EBGBs?
I've had a couple of encounters actually with ghosts, but I mean, we haven't got time for me to tell you the story.
No, save it for Halloween.
I'll save it for Halloween. Right, let me show you a couple of pictures that you've sent me. I thought this was fantastic in Home Firth. A stunning double rainbow there taken by Sylvie, and I think this is Grenoside in Sheffield, not sure but I think it is, but a beautiful autumnal wood look there in Sheffield. Keep the pictures coming in if you're out and about tomorrow. It looks set to be a lovely day. X, Instagram and the Weather Watcher website. So tomorrow there could be some fog first thing, otherwise it's dry and bright, plenty of sunshine, although it will tend to cloud over through the afternoon, a little patchy rain later. And it's this weather front that will open the floodgates to the Atlantic. So we've got some rain Thursday night into Friday morning, more showery rain Friday afternoon, and this lot for Saturday morning. At the moment, it looks like Sunday might not be too bad, but showers will never be far away, and it will continue to be quite windy. Now there's a radar picture. Lots of rain to the northwest, lots to the southeast. We've been very lucky again today. Most of us have been dry with some sunshine, but we have got some showery outbreaks of rain to push down from the northwest. Later tonight it becomes dry with clear periods, and I think as winds ease there could be some mist and fog, even a touch of ground frost, especially across the valley bottoms. Lows 2 to 4 degrees. Tomorrow's high water times then, another lovely day along the coast, Scarborough at 10 a.m. So any mist and fog, maybe the Vale of York taking a few hours to clear. Otherwise, it's a lovely morning, chilly, but dry and bright with some sunshine. There's that veil of cloud I talked about through the afternoon. Could be thick enough to produce a little patchy rain and drizzle, mainly to the Pennines. A few spots further east, but eastern areas should stay dry until after dark. We'll see temperatures around 11 or 12 degrees Celsius. Further ahead then, Friday looks unsettled, quite mild. Some sunshine, but showery rain later. Some heavy rain at first Saturday, clearing. Sunday, maybe the best of the weekend days, but it stays unsettled and quite mild as we head into the first week of November. That's the forecast.
Doesn't it make a nice change to have sunshine on a half term?
I know.
It's normally torrential rain, isn't it? Yeah. Thank you. That is it from us. But we have Phil Bob with the late news. Bye-bye for now.